camera now.
Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody sweat the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long as
Hello, bonjour, Sanbonani. Welcome to Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, more especially under these circumstances. So this network has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. My name is Dr. Riel Ngunene. So if you're watching us online, please feel free to put in the chat box where you're watching us from and what you hope to achieve from our podcast. Today, we are surrounded by greatness in the World Wide Web. We have amazing speakers who's going to share some nuggets on how to overcome your business obstacles, how to overcome business obstacles. So in California, we have Pastor Elaine Briefman. And in North Carolina, we have Meiji Danke Jacobs. So at this moment, I'll just let our speakers to introduce themselves. So you can go ahead, Pastor Elaine.
Hello, and thank you, Dr. Kunene, for allowing me to come in and to speak some hope into your audience. And I'm coming in from Northern California in a little community right by a lake where I love to boat and fish. And I think I'm a closet digital producer where I love to do YouTube videos and just make videos with nature, and I put worship music on top of it, which is really a lot of fun. And a thing that most people don't know about me is I have a cat named Bacon. So welcome, everybody.
Oh, wow, it's such a great honor. It's such a great honor to have you, Pastor Elaine. You can go ahead, Meiji, and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kunene. Yeah. So I'm right on the border of North and South Carolina, really close to that North Carolina airport, but we live in South Carolina, and I worked the 9 to 5 my whole life until I had that calling that I knew that there was more. And I know when you hear it, you can't resist it. So I did move to South Carolina, and I've worked with the top speakers in the world to become an inspirational speaker, which I now do internationally. And I'm a best-selling author of a book about Speak Your Truth. And I empower women to speak up because I started my own company called Breathing Forward. There came a time in life when I felt I couldn't do either. So if you can get through those obstacles, if you can figure out what that is and teach that to other people, it's an extraordinary gift. So now as a coach, that's what I do full time. And I'm truly honored to be here and pour into your audience today. Thank you.
Oh, wow, it's such a great honor to have you, Meiji, and I'm looking forward to hear you speak. So Pastor Elaine, I have a question for you. If you happen to have your own billboard, I can see your billboard coming down there in the busy highway in California. What will your billboard say?
That's funny. I originally I thought your uniqueness matters, but I would probably say blow more bubbles.
Blow more bubbles. I love it.
And have more whimsy in your life. And and I just thought if that's the message I want everybody to hear, it's like just have more fun in life and enjoy the whimsy of childhood. Yeah, blow more bubbles.
Oh my, I love it. Blow more bubbles because we need happiness. We all need happiness, and I love it. I love it. Wow. How about you, Meiji? What will your billboard say? Maybe your billboard is already down there in North Carolina. Who knows? What will your billboard say?
Mine would probably say, see Pastor Elaine's billboard. Actually, I think in the biggest letters possible, believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. You first blow the bubbles and then you believe in yourself. I love
Yeah.
both billboards. So, I think mine will be that billboard driving down the highway, and it's going to say what? The sky is no longer the limit, but now the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. And you know what? It's definitely coming. It's definitely coming. So we're going to get started. We're going to start with Pastor Elaine Briefman. Pastor Elaine Briefman, with a Master of Arts, is an author, speaker, licensed marriage and family therapist, and an ordained pastor who spends her days helping others be freed from imposter syndrome and self-doubt while becoming effective influencers. So after being adopted by a child molester and her own journey of healing, Pastor Elaine learned that identity abuse causes the majority of emotional dysfunctions in the world today, including imposter syndrome. So her ministry, Fishing for Truth, is a unique online community training and mentorship program for Christian leaders to overcome imposter syndrome, promote spiritual maturity, and attain professional speaking skills and experience. So her typical clients are Christians called to leadership and who struggle with self-doubt and isolation, as well as those who want professional mentorship, community support, and the opportunity to speak in global access events. So in her spare time, Pastor Elaine loves reading, board games, and fishing, and lots of fishing. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Pastor Elaine Briefman.
Thank you so much. This is just so fun for me, and it's also fun too to hear Margie. So a lot of what we say will probably overlap a bit, but my 3 speaking points are going to be what causes self-doubt, or this chronic self-doubt, and then conquering the self-doubt, and then also speaking with impact. And honestly, so I'll tell you my story. When I was probably about 8 years old, my adoptive mom called me into the living room, and so I walked down the hallway, and she was standing in the doorway of the living room, and when I got there, I could see my dad on the couch behind her, behind the newspaper. And she looked down at me and she said, your brother tells me that your dad's been doing stuff to you. Is that true? And I wasn't expecting that. And I was really stunned, and in that era you didn't lie to your parents, and so I just kind of stammered out a yeah. And she turned and she looked at my dad and she said, is that true? And he said, I don't know what she's talking about. And he never looked up from the newspaper. And we had this really kind of weird conversation, but then it just ended and nothing ever changed. And because of my dad's lie, I started believing lies about myself. And when we're lied to or lied about, it can change our sense of self-worth and our value and our identity. And it really can mess us up. And I know it really messed me up. And so I did what a lot of messed up people would do, is I became a therapist and a pastor. And so I became basically a professional codependent. And I went on to get my own personal healing, as well as over a decade of education, and also 17 years of performing therapy, and people were still getting stuck. And one day I was kind of frustrated about that. I was just sitting there thinking about why do people over-identify with these negative things about themselves? And I was... And I wasn't really praying or anything. I was just sitting there just thinking about that. And I heard these two words. And I want you to type these in. Identity abuse. Identity abuse. And I'm like, well, what is that? Now, as a therapist, I would have never put those 2 words together because they were kind of ethereal. And I spent 3 days just really praying and asking God, if my identity that he gave me was abused, what would that do to me? And it really opened my eyes to all of the emotional disorders that people have that are non-biological, can be explained by by this identity abuse where somebody is telling you something and you receive it as truth because you're in a vulnerable state typically. And then we grow up and we believe it because now it feels true. And when we listen to a truth, somebody comes and says, wow, you're so beautiful, you're so smart. We have a hard time receiving it because our identity has been abused. We believe the lie. The lie feels more true than the truth. So we have a tendency to reject the lie. And I was so stunned by that. I went back and started telling my clients and the staff of the church I was at, and just explaining them it's like we're believing lies because they feel true, not because they are true. And this was helping so many people find freedom that I created a course that helps people overcome that and really understanding how your identity, your uniqueness is valuable and it's intentional and you're not like anybody else on purpose. And then the second is you're going to hear lies every day to defy that value and that uniqueness. And the third is you get to choose. You get to choose what is true about yourself. You get to choose what you believe. And when we come from an academic standpoint, we get to say, what am I choosing to believe about myself and where does that messaging come from? So identity abuse is really the undergirding portion of imposter syndrome. And I am happy to say that 13 years later, when the police came knocking on my door, I was able to tell the truth one more time, and my dad did go to jail. So I went from really being a jacked up person to being an imposter syndrome crusher. And I really absolutely enjoy that. So I hope that you'll write those two words down, identity abuse. And if you know somebody who struggles with chronic self-doubt, let them know about that. And sometimes just hearing those words will set people free. Now, conquering it is the second thing. So the first one is what causes self-doubt. The second one is conquering self-doubt. And we can choose to believe what is true. And sometimes that's challenging. Well, let's say, well, that's easy for you to say. It does take practice. So I have this little thing that I love to show people. And typically people will think I am inadequate for what I'm being asked to do. And this is kind of how it feels. So this is that feeling of inadequacy. And it kind of envelops us, and it just feels like we are inadequate. But the reality is that you have a feeling of inadequacy, or you have a feeling of being unloved. And when you stop long enough to say, wow, there's that feeling again, that little moment where you're identifying the feeling of being unlovable or unworthy, you can stop and say, I am having a feeling. What am I going to do with that feeling? Am I going to embrace it and believe it for myself, or am I actually going to ask myself what is truly true in that moment? And this has been very helpful. I tell people, write this on a napkin and share it with your friends. It's super easy. And what I want to tell you now is a story that I tell anybody anywhere, and it's about the day that God made you. So I'm going to tell it to Dr. Kunene. I don't know if did I share this to you already? No? Okay, so I'm going to tell you the story about the day that God made Dr. Kunene. So there was a day that the God that made the mountains and the oceans and the stars and the seas and the flowers stopped everything he was doing. And he said, I'm going to make a Real Kunene. And he thought about you. And he took the cells of your body and he swirled them in his hand, and he thought about the color of your eyes and the color of your hair and the shape of your toes. And he was so excited. He's like, angels, check it out. I'm making me a Real Kunene. And they're like, wow, God, you've never made anything like that before. And he says, no, Real's different. She's different than anything I've ever made before, and the way she sees the world and responds to the world is going to be different than anything I've ever made before. And he thought about your favorite food and your favorite color and your favorite animal. And he says, this is good. He says, Real, I love you. I love you so much. Everything about you matters to me. The things that bring you happiness and joy, but also the things that bring you sorrow and pain. It all matters to me. And Real, it's my hope for you, as it is for everyone, that when I put you in the world, that you have two parents that tell you every day how much you matter to me. Every day. Now, some parents will do their job really well, and other parents not so much. And some parents aren't around, and then sometimes bad people do bad things to good kids. And Real, the world's going to come along and say, you don't look right, you don't sound right, you don't live here, you don't know these people, you don't have this stuff. And every day, thousands of messages will bombard you. And it might get really hard for you to hear my voice and to remember how much you matter to me. But Real, I want you to know that every moment of every day, I'm right by your side. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, I will never abandon you. And Real, I also want you to know that I will never be disappointed in you. Now, I might be disappointed in some things that you say, or some things that you do, or even some things that you think about. But I'll never be disappointed in who you are. Because you, Real, are exactly the way I created you to be. And I am your biggest cheerleader. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again someday, and welcoming you home, and giving you a great big hug. And I hope you remember that every day for the rest of your life. Now, as we embrace that whole idea of what we choose to believe about ourselves, we can receive that and say, this is what I choose to believe. And so that's my second point of learning how to overcome self-doubt. And the last thing is speaking with impact and really being an influencer who makes changes rather than just giving out information. And there's 5 parts to this, and I'm just going to go over them really quickly. The first one is telling people who you used to be. The second one is who you are today. The third one is what is the change agent? What caused that difference? The fourth is what do you want your audience to do next, specifically? And the last is what would be the benefit to them for doing what you're asking them to do? So my example would be, I used to be super shy, but now I train Christian leaders how to boldly speak up for what God has given them in their unique perspective. Because I received effective mentorship. Sign up for my summit so that you can also get my 5-day free speaker training and be able to be a bold professional and make a lasting impact at summit.fishing4truth.com. So that one little segment is just telling people who I used to be, who I am today, what the change agent was, what you want them to do, and what they will get out of it. So I hope that you've enjoyed that, and I will change my name so that you can get the link to that summit so that you can too join us. Thank you.
Oh, wow, Pastor Elaine just dropped the mic. You know, as you were just sharing from your experience, what you went through and where you are and how you overcame it. Wow, it's really, really mind-blowing. You've mentioned that we'll have to understand identity abuse. That was something I first heard from you. I've never heard of it before until you started sharing your story. And you've also mentioned that we'll have to conquer self-doubt. We shouldn't be limiting ourselves. And lastly, you've mentioned speaking with impact. You're telling your story, who you were before, where you are right now, and where you're going. Wow, what a profound message. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor Elaine.
You're most welcome.
So now we're going to move to Meiji Dangi Jacobs. Meiji Dangi Jacobs, as an international keynote inspirational speaker, best-selling author, CEO of Funding Success Coach, Meiji Dangi Jacobs found the entrepreneurial world later. It's a Friday morning, forgive me. She found it later in the life after working 40 years in the 9-to-5 way of thinking. So personal development moved her rapidly into a world of uplifting others and enjoying the journey of helping others create wealth. So she started her women's empowerment company to create female millionaires Breathing Forward LLC. The framework is the key to it all. And there is one thing that is needed more than anything else in the framework to make it all come together for every single person. So she's excited to share that with you as she shares, she's excited to share it with you as she shares what completely transformed her life to where it is now. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Meiji Dangi Jacobs.
Thank you, Dr. Kaneni. And wasn't Pastor Elaine amazing? So thank you for that. I learned so much and took great notes. I'm here to talk on the framework of why. And when we talk about the obstacles that we are going through, so actually nothing that I'm going to share with you is something that you haven't heard before. But what I ask is that you remain open to hear it as the person that you are right now, as the person that you are coming to the table, because oftentimes we think we're going to get into business and everything is just going to fall in place or it's just going to flow. But we actually need a framework to plan from. We wouldn't just throw up a house and say, put a bathroom there and put a kitchen there. We need a framework that is solid and cemented. And what I've learned in my experience is that most people want to base their framework on where they've been and what they haven't done right, or they want to base it on where they are now, which is all good as part of the framework. But what I suggest is you base your framework on where you're going, your vision for your future. And so then when you focus everything there, you start with there are 3 teaching points that I want to share with you. And the first one is really to be unreasonably optimistic about where you're going. Because as Pastor Elaine said, so many things come at us. And if we're pushed off the track all the time and we don't get back on, it's the belief thing inside of us. So the key to your framework working is truly your belief in yourself. And how do you get that if there's so many dings in you along the way? It's by listening to the other people who are, please listen to this, not qualified to tell you how you should be living your life. They're not qualified. And so why would you give that power away? And I inspire and empower men and women to put back in place your vision for your life, for your future. If you have a partner, you have a partner, and hopefully you lock arms and move forward. Their vision will not be your vision. You can watch the same movie and have a really good experience, but has still a very different experience from watching the same movie. So if you want the movie of your life to be moving forward, you have to lay that framework with your belief, and it needs to be solid. So if your belief is not where you want it to be, you have to reimagine it. You have to maybe make some changes, and everything starts with a decision. You're either going to choose to not believe that you can do it, and so that will be your trajectory, or you're going to choose to say, I need to make a change because in 12 months, I don't want my life to be where it is right now. Get off the struggle bus, pull the brake, and tell the bus driver, I'm getting off here because this is where my vision starts. And so the things that I want to, I have a framework that I've designed in a course that I have called Confidence and Success, and it is up on a platform now that's available to anybody. But we must be open and willing to make those changes with that unreasonable optimism is an unstoppable. You just will not be able to touch it. It's like the cement that goes into your framework. So the second one that I want to share with you is you must be able to make that decision to change. People say, I don't know if you've ever done this where you've gone into somewhere and you really like a top or in a clothing store, and you say to somebody that you've never met, which one do you think is better? Even though you love one of them, you give that decision to somebody else, or you go somewhere in a more significant direction about your business and you say, which do you think I should do? Should I do the podcast? Should I not do the podcast? And someone says, are you sure you want to do a podcast? There's lots of podcasts out there, but you know you can make an impact, and you know that everybody hearing this is going to change from hearing something that you're sharing. So I applaud you for listening to that voice. And the third thing that I just want to share with you as part of your framework is that you must be able to fail until. The word until is all you really need in your repertoire. You fail until you get there, because there's no obstacle that's going to come up in front of you that's going to derail you when you have your framework built on your vision of your future. So this is really what I wanted to share with you today. And mostly what I want to make sure is that you're open and willing. And again, as Pastor Elaine said, she had mentorship. I worked for 40 years and I worked for other people telling me what to do. But when I moved into the entrepreneurial world, I was a little bit lost. I needed a mentorship. I needed a coach. I wanted to get to the NFL. I didn't just want to play football. I wanted the coach that's going to get me all the way there, because that's the vision that I have for my life. I work with a lot of clients who say their goal is to make $100,000 a year. And I ask if people are open to giving back $100,000 a year. And for those clients who do, believe me, they're going to be in a 7-figure income area, because they're the ones that are writing a $10,000 check here, a $10,000 check here, a $20,000 check here. And every bit counts. And you get to be okay with where you are and what you want for your life. But there's something about stretching yourself into that magical zone that you always thought was impossible because of your belief, that you now get to put into your framework and say, my belief in myself is so rock solid that nothing's going to derail me. Nothing's going to get in my way. And I'm just going for it. And you will have lots of fails along the way, but you get to fail until there's success, and then build on top of that. That's my message to you today. I just want you to know that, as Pastor Elaine again said, it's always a choice. We either choose to be a victim, or we choose to be a student, and then we choose to step into the leadership role and teach others what we have learned. So I'm honored to be here today with you, and thank you so much, Dr. Rial. I am just grateful that we have a platform that supports people in this way. So thank you.
Wow, Meiji. Oh my goodness. You've mentioned that we should be willing to do what? To fail until. Be willing to fail. You know, failing in life, it doesn't mean that that's the end of your destiny. It means that it's your time. It's a wake-up call for you to begin over and over again. As long as you're not giving up, as long as you're not losing hope. You've mentioned that we should be willing to examine current beliefs. What's working for me and what has to shift? That's the mindset that we should be on. And you've mentioned that we also have to be willing to start fresh with a new perspective. Wow, what a message, what a profound message, much needed, more especially in these circumstances that we're going through. What a message. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Meiji, for sharing such a profound, much needed message.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So what's going to happen? Yeah, at the end, I will just let our speakers to share with our audience how they can be reached out to, any freebies, any books that they want to promote. At the end of the, once I'm done with my presentation, I'll just let our speakers to do that. So our audience online, please feel free, if you happen to have any questions for Pastor Elaine as well as Meiji, just drop your questions at the chat box, and then we're going to attend to your questions at the end of the podcast. So what's going to happen right now, I'm going to be the next speaker, but before I speak, I always share my bio. So here is my bio, and please enjoy. I want you, as you think about your dreams and goals, to put this down. Rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights, because you need to be clear about your career goals in order for you to gain guidance on professional development. Really, my goal as a mentor or as a coach, it's so simple. My goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs and other potential obstacles that you might be facing, and then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to pursue success and drive sustainable. I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Rial and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. Mom. So I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Rial and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights.
Dr. Nampumelelo Rial Kunene is an international human rights policy analyst who consults on policies and procedures related to human rights compliance. She is a highly sought-after, energetic, certified Lace Brown international speaker. This passionate leader holds a PhD with a discipline in leadership and business. Dr. Rial N. Kunene is the author and host to Rise to Greater Heights, a book and YouTube channel to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. She is also a coach, mentor, and an MC, well known for encouraging many to rise from mediocrity into greatness. Her vision is not only to motivate, but also to empower audiences with a fresh perspective inspiration they require to pursue success and drive sustainable outcomes. In a seriously funny way, Dr. Kunene is an award-winning author, 10 times #1 Amazon and international best-selling author. Her #1 best-selling book, Rise to Greater Heights, has inspired and empowered many to pursue their personal and professional passion to become go-getters. As a trainer, diplomacy protocol officer, and strategist, Rial believes that we are in full control of our choices. Her mission is to meet the needs and transform lives of her clients and her audience. She is also a true advocate for creating new policies that uphold human rights and prevent human rights violations. Dr. Kunene's purpose is to teach everyone about human rights and help organizations understand and promote human rights. Her goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs, then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to achieve specific outcomes in your life. This change maker, trailblazer, and revolutionary is pushing boundaries and creating a real change worldwide. Like a phoenix that never accepted defeat and rose from its own ashes, she wants to challenge you to unleash your greatness and rise to greater heights. Dr. Rial N. Kunene wears many hats. As a professional certified sales manager, CEO, certified travel counselor, publisher, medical esthetician, philanthropist, and a commissioner for oaths, following her dreams gave her purpose to see her goals through and understand that she does have everything she needs to reach her full potential. Her everyday message is that your journey to be a better person starts with you. So knowing who you are to your core will make you understand that you are the only one who can accomplish your dreams. Hebrews 11, Psalms 27 and 40 keeps her to rise to greater heights. The sky is no longer the limit, but now the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Kings and queens, please join me. Welcome, Dr. Rial N. Kunene.
Thank you so much, amazing. Because Pastor Elaine and Maggie, you've just set the bar high. So I'm like trying to think, am I going to be able to fit in your shoes with whatever information that you've already shared right now? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to fit in those shoes, but you've just set the bar high for me. Like Pastor Elaine, she mentioned that I will have to understand identity abuse, and then we'll also have to conquer self-doubt, speaking with impact. And then Meiji on the other side, she was like, you have to be willing to examine your current beliefs. What's working for you right now and what needs to be shifted? So you'll have to be able to do that. And you must be willing to start fresh with a new perspective. So my question to you, what do you have in mind that you just want to overcome any obstacles that you are going through? How are you going to do that? Overcome your business or your obstacles that you experience through your life. How do you do that? Because self-employment, it can be a tough gig, and going can even get mild and uncomfortable as you are going, since it's up to you as to how, when, and where you choose to work. So the first piece of advice I would love to give to our individuals out there, our audience out there, is that you'll have to do a reality check in case you are thinking of quitting maybe your normal 9-to-5 job into full-time entrepreneurship. Because when one thinks of being your own boss, just picture this: you've spent so many years working on your job that hasn't been what you wanted, but right now you're just smiling because it's almost over. You've been working on something that you never liked. Like Major mentioned that she used to work for like 40 years in the normal corporate America job. So think about that right now I'm smiling because you know what? I'm just about to start this new venture, because self-employment, it can be a wonderful step to finding a fulfilling career, but it can also be the most challenging challenging experience that you go over there of being your own boss, because it takes dedication, it takes motivation to make the right choices when the going gets tough. Good people, you really don't have to see the whole staircase, but you need to take the first step to get to the top. As my mentor always say, that you don't have to be great to get started, but you'll have to get started to become great in life. Let's face it. Let's face it. Being your own boss has so many rewards out there. And one of the first thing that comes into mind is the freedom that you will be setting your own hours. Because, you know, starting your own business, it can be a scary thing, but it also opens a world of almost unlimited possibilities each day. So from my personal experience as an entrepreneur, having a good sense of strategies to guide you as you make this shift will be very helpful in order for you to determine if this path is for you. As flight attendants always say, that put on your oxygen mask first before you assist others, because if you don't, you and the other person you're trying to help could possibly go down. So put on that oxygen mask first on yourself, because you know what? Passion leads the way. So you'll have to fuel it daily. Like any flame, turning your passion into a thriving business may not be as daunting as you think, but the depth of whether to follow your passion or follow the money, it never ends. It never ends. So follow your passion, do what you love so deeply, be patient and embrace the journey, because this is a journey. Entrepreneurship is a journey. When you're starting a business from scratch, planning ahead, it helps you to anticipate your financial needs and arrange suitable funding. So the average entrepreneur out there, they work very long hours, and this is probably the most stressful challenge on the list. Trust me, believe it or not, you need to learn to delegate properly. And new entrepreneurs, they are forced to make hundreds of choices each and every day. It's all too easy to stifle creativity and motivation with excessive interference. So plan your day accordingly. So good people, Pastor Elaine and Meiji, they've shared amazing nuggets on how to overcome obstacles. Either it's a personal obstacle or it's a business obstacle. It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. But when that alarm clock goes off, please don't ever hit the snooze button. Don't be like, I'll wake up in the next 2 minutes. I'll wake up in the next 4 minutes. You know what? Forever is a long time. Why don't you wake up, get going, and get organized? As a business owner, get organized. There is only one true thing to power you forward and help you to stay on top of things that needs to be done. That's being organized. Why? I'm glad you've asked that, because organization will help you to complete all the tasks that you have in hand, and it makes you believe in your purpose more. So get organized. All successful businesses, they keep detailed records, and a good way to do this is kind of to create a to-do list each and every day. This is what I'm going to be doing each and every day. So by keeping a detailed records, this will ensure that you are completing all the tasks that are essential to the survival of your business. So good people, go out there and get organized. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny how my mom and dad gave me this beautiful name, Nompumelelo. I know many, when they try to say my name, they always butcher my name. I remember Meiji yesterday, she was like asking me, how do you say your name? And I'm like, you know what? Many people, they always butcher my name. They always butcher my name. But Nompumelelo, in my own language, it means mother of all success. So you can see that I am really challenged to chase after success. No matter what comes my way, I'll have to chase after success. So if I may ask you, how many of you, excuse me, how many of you have dreams and goals that you want to achieve? Maybe, let me say, maybe in the next 6 months. I know myself, I am one of those people. I want you, as you think about your dreams and goals, to put this down. Rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights, because you need to be clear about your career goals in order for you to gain guidance on professional development. So as a coach or as a mentor, my goal is so simple. My goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs and other potential obstacles that you might be facing, and then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to achieve specific outcomes in your life. You know, I so wish that you could just tell yourself that, you know what, I've had all these amazing speakers have shared more nuggets on how to overcome obstacles in your life. How can I overcome obstacles in my business, in my life? I so wish that you can tell yourself that, you know what, it's high time for you to go out there and be the change and make a difference. The change that we want to see must first begin with you. But in order for you to go out there and be the change, in order for you to go out there and make a difference, you've got to be hungry. You've got to be hungry like the hungry lion in the jungle. Really, that hungry lion in the jungle, it doesn't matter what kind of animal comes his way. It doesn't matter if you're a giant elephant or that small squirrel by the jungle. All that hungry lion sees in front of his face is lunch. And it's so funny because even with elephants, when they see a lion, what they do is that they run. It's all about the mindset. Once you believe, you become. They already told themselves that, you know what, I'm a lunch to that lion. So each and every time when I see a lion, I'll have to run. I believe that's the lion mindset that we need in order for us to grow our business, in order for us to overcome any business obstacles. Because you know what, I believe that we all rise together and we rise to greater heights, and we rise by lifting each other up than tearing anyone down. And we're only here as queens, we're only here to fix each other's crown. So we'll have to rise to greater heights. Please write this down in conclusion. Resilience to greatness. Resilience to greatness. You know, it's so funny. When I was in the 8th grade, I was nicknamed Phoenix. I was nicknamed Phoenix after writing a composition using the idiomatic expression that says, I rose from the ashes like a phoenix bird, meaning I became successful again. Really, that English teacher, she didn't know that the nickname Phoenix resonates with me. And it also aligns with my destiny. So for those of you who don't know the phoenix bird, the phoenix is a Greek mythological bird believed to rise from its own ashes after being buried like hundreds of years ago. This immortal creature, it acquires new life by rising from the ashes of its own ancestor, which represents our capacity for vision and success. I want to encourage you as you are watching and listening under my voice that when your world comes crashing down, wear your scars to show how a phoenix feels like to die from inside, and trust in your own capability to rise from your own ashes. Since the phoenix has to die, bear and experience pain before resurrection from its own ashes. You know, I know you've heard this before, that your setback is your setup for your comeback. Your setback is your setup for your comeback. So if I can be honest with you, I don't know what goals you've set for the next 6 months. I don't know what dreams you have for your own future. But here is one thing I know about you. You are destined for greatness. Inside of you, God has put seeds of excellence. Those seeds are supposed to grow and flourish. But many people have become crippled by their past encounters, and some have stepped over other people to get to the top. But I believe that God has a better plan for every one of us. Your objective is what you were designed for and the reason why you live today. With God, I believe that we're all destined for greatness as long as we follow his strategy. This is when the growth commences, because discovering your gifts and following God's idea will make you understand that you have everything around you to reach your full potential. My everyday inspiration, Mr. Les Brown, who once said, if you had to die today, at this very moment, at this hour, what dreams, what ideas, what visions, what skills, what talents, and what books will die with you? And the late Dr. Miles Monroe once said, the richest place on this planet is the cemetery, because that's where all the goals, all the visions, all the skills, all the talents, all the dreams have been buried. Honestly, I don't know about you, but with me listening to all these messages, it just gave me sleepless nights. And I remember it very well when I first started journaling my first book, Rise to Greater Heights, which is a comprehensive guide to turn your fears into greater success. And I didn't stop there. If you remember it very well, May 25th, 2020, George Floyd died in police custody in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, you know, I believe that we need to stand for a world where no one shall live in fear because of the color of their skin, and where the criminal justice system treats everyone fairly and equally, because I believe that we are all equal in dignity. So I decided to write my book, Human Rights as Well, Equal in Dignity, because I believe that everyone is born free and no one should ever be subject to such unjustified violence. And you may ask yourself, what's really holding you back from going confident in the direction of your dreams? Is it fear, procrastination, mediocrity, or distraction? Kings and queens, it's so essential to assess your goals' progress. In so doing, you will have to cultivate your mindset for success. And we came together in this last book, 15 different co-authors around the world, being coached, mentored by Les Brown with only one mindset, resilience to greatness. So I believe all these books have the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. And I also have a free transformation guide for you. It's available on my website, www.risetogreaterheights.com. So with this free transformation guide, trust me, you'll be able to explore leadership, empowerment, being purpose-driven, mentorship, coaching, resilience to greatness, emotional intelligence, mental health, and many, many more topics, including spiritual growth as well as successful parenting. Because growing up, I didn't have much in life because my father decided to have an early departure from this planet Earth. And thank God I missed that flight because I'm still here today. I'm still sharing my message with the world because I had everything because of my mama's love. And I love you so much, Mom. So I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Rial and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Thank you so much, amazing speakers. Thank you so much. So at this moment, please feel free to share with the audience how they can reach out to you. If you have any freebie that you want to share with them, any books, any upcoming events, please feel free to share with the audience. And then I will come back because I'm going to check if we have any questions being posted. I will come back and wrap up. So Pastor Elaine, the stage is yours.
There we go. So thank you so much. I love your enthusiasm. And as I said earlier, I'm doing a speaker training. It's a 5-day event that's free. And everybody who signs up for this upcoming summit will have free access to that as well. And the summit is for small church pastors. It's really all the speakers are small church pastors. And it's tips and tools and just really kind of a camaraderie of those who have smaller ministries and feel left out from the bigger Christian leadership conferences. And if you register for that, you will automatically get sent to the group where the speaker training will be 2 weeks after the summit. And so the summit's in 2 weeks, and you'll get that training for free. And then you'll be able to access me, Pastor Elaine, on all social media. You can find me there as well. So thank you again so much for allowing me to come.
Wow, thank you so much, Pastor Elaine. And I believe that the audience will reach out to you for sure because they need this. They need this empowerment. So thank you, Pastor Elaine. You can go ahead, Meiji, and share with the audience how they can reach out to you. Oh, I think she's frozen. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, she's frozen. She's frozen. Wow. Okay. While we're waiting for Meiji to share with us, I'm just going to go over the comments right now. I can see our audience. Our audience has really, really been moved. They've been changed. I can see, let me see here. I can see Mariah watching. She's saying, what a topic, what a topic. And I see Saveda watching as she's saying, blessed morning, beautiful ladies. Blessed mornings. And yes, Pastor Elaine has already commented there. And Saveda is saying that, oh, awesome work, message Maggie. I literally just wrote down yesterday, don't stop dreaming is a message given on yesterday. Oh, wow. Yes, continue, reach out to Meiji Saveda. For sure, she needs to hear what you've just shared with us. And I can see Princess Sebe saying that rise, queens, rise. So our audience have been really, really moved. They've been motivated. So thank you so much for sharing such a profound, much needed message, Pastor Elaine and Meiji. Yeah, I think the system just kicked her out because she was like frozen. She was like frozen. So I believe she's going to be able to share with the audience on our live streaming, and then the audience will take it from there. So at this moment, thank you so much to our amazing audience for joining us today here at Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. I see Joanne, she's saying, I wish I could have had this whole life. Thank you for the encouragement. Yes, it was really, really motivating to have so much amazing speakers sharing from their experience on how to actually overcome obstacles. And Saveda is saying this has been really awesome. Thank you so much to our amazing audience for joining us here at Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. So I hope from all these messages, from all these amazing speakers, you've been inspired, you've been motivated, and you are ready to rise to greater heights. So do join us next week at the same time, same place. Thank you. Merci. Siyabonga.
Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody spread the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long as I'm